This video is sponsored by Magellan TV, a great new documentary streaming service we love. We highly recommend you check out Calamity Jane, Legend of the West. This film highlights both the truth and the myth of the infamous female American legend, Martha Canary, better known as Calamity Jane. Follow her adventures in the raw excitement of 19th century America, from Deadwood to the Great Plains. Magellan TV has the most varied content on history, including ancient, modern, current, early modern, war, and biographies, not to mention their other extensive genres like science, true crime, and more. With over 3,000 documentaries, movies, and series, some available at 4K high def, and all of them ad-free, they have the largest collection out there. And their weekly content drops ensure you never run out of things to watch. Simple History viewers can get 30% off an annual membership and a 2-week free trial to be sure you love it first. Click on the link in the description to get over 3,000 documentaries for less than $3.50 a month. Elmer McCurdy, the dead gunslinger used as a movie prop. 1880 to 1977. The days of the Wild West were drawing to an end as stagecoach holdups, train robberies, and gun duels were becoming a thing of the past. Elmer McCurdy was an outlaw at this time, who proved to be very unsuccessful and not very good at it. But he would literally become more famous in death than he ever did in life. He was born in Washington in the state of Maine in 1880 and had a chaotic upbringing. He turned to drink at a very early age, probably due to all the turmoil he suffered as a child. Elmer trained as a plumber, but struggled to hold down a steady job due to his drinking and the severe downturn in the American economy. In 1905, at the age of 25, he was arrested for being drunk in public. This was the first time he had been in trouble with the law. But he seemed to quickly get his life back on track, and 2 years later, in 1907, he joined the United States Army. There, he qualified as a machine gun operator, as well as being trained in demolitions, learning a little bit about explosive ordnance like nitroglycerin. He left the Army in 1910 with an honorable discharge. However, just 12 days later, he was arrested, along with an old Army friend, for allegedly going equipped to commit burglary, as they were carrying chisels, hammers, and hacksaws at the time. Their defense was that the tools were needed to build a new type of pedal-operated machine gun they were working on. The jury believed them, and they were found not guilty on all charges. So, at 30 years old, apart from a minor charge for drunkenness, Elmer had led a seemingly honest and rather unexciting life. But it was all about to change, for reasons not too clear, as Elmer decided to turn to crime as a full-time career. Just over a year later, in March 1911, after carrying out a lot of unsuccessful petty crimes, he decided to form a gang and try for something much bigger. For they had decided to rob the Iron Mountain, Missouri Pacific train. But when blowing up the safe on board, Elmer had used far too much nitroglycerin explosive and destroyed the safe and most of the money inside. Their next big job was in Kansas in September that year, when they dug a hole in a bank's wall and attempted to blow up the bank's safe unsuccessfully. But he did manage to wreck the interior of the bank in the ensuing explosion and only got away with a little cash that had not been inside the safe. His final attempted robbery was just a month later, when Elmer and his gang attempted to rob a Union Pacific Railway train, said to be carrying over $400,000, which is about $10 million in today's value. But they got the wrong train and ended up instead robbing a standard passenger train with disastrous results. They were forced in desperation to rob the railway staff and passengers, managing to steal only $46, 2 demijohns of whiskey, a revolver, a coat, and the train conductor's pocket watch. A newspaper later called Elmer's robbery one of the smallest in the history of train robbery. Elmer fled the train robbery and decided to hide in a hayloft at a friend's ranch. But a sheriff's posse tracked him down using bloodhounds a few days later, and on the dawn of October 7th, there was a short gunfight in which Elmer was killed. Now, you'd think that this would be the end of McCurdy and his travels, with there being just his final trip to Boot Hill. In fact, it was just the beginning. Elmer's body was taken to the local funeral home where it went unclaimed. The undertaker, Joseph L. Johnson, subsequently refused to bury the body, as he was annoyed he had not been paid for his services. So he embalmed the body in an arsenic-based solution to preserve it and dressed it up, along with placing a rifle in its hands. He placed the sign, "The Bandit Who Wouldn't Give Up," next to it and charged visitors a nickel, which is 5 cents. That's just over $1 in today's value for people to come and see it. It is said that you drop the payment into the corpse's open mouth, from where they were collected later by the undertaker. This went on until 1916 and proved a very popular attraction. Then, 2 men turned up at the funeral home and claimed to be Elmer's brothers. As they had already sought permission from the local authorities to take the body back to San Francisco for burial, the undertaker agreed to release the body to them. In fact, the body was shipped to Kansas to join a traveling carnival as a sideshow attraction, now labeled the Outlaw Who Would Never Be Captured Alive. They advertised him wherever they went as the Oklahoma Mummy Man. The 2 men claiming to be Elmer's brothers were in fact James and Charles Patterson, the dishonest owners of the Great Patterson Carnival Show. Over the next 60 years, the attraction swapped hands many times. In 1922, James Patterson sold his carnival to Louis Sonny, who operated the traveling Museum of Crime featuring wax figures and famous outlaws. In 1933, Sonny loaned the body out to director Dwayne Esper, who used it to promote his low-budget movie, Narcotic. For this movie, Elmer's corpse, that was now shriveled and mummified by the passage of time, was used to portray a dead drug addict who had killed himself after being surrounded by police after robbing a store. It was displayed in the lobby of film theaters to advertise the movie and warn of the dangers of drug addiction. In 1949, the owner, Louis Sonny, died, and all his wax figurines along with Elmer's body were placed in storage. For nearly the next 20 years, there he laid, forgotten, until he was rediscovered and lent out as a prop for the 1967 horror B-movie She-Freak. He appeared for a few short seconds only in the background of one of the scenes. Then, he and all of the other wax figures were sold to a new wax museum owner. It seemed by now to have been forgotten that Elmer was a real-life corpse, and it was assumed that he was just one of the wax figures. His new owners displayed him for a while in an exhibition in a show at Mount Rushmore, but got rid of him after Elmer got accidentally damaged in a windstorm and was not lifelike enough to exhibit. McCurdy was then sold to Ed Learsh, a part owner of the Nu-Pike amusement park in Long Beach, California, to be used as a prop. He was to be the hanged man swinging from the gallows covered in glowing neon paint in the laugh-in-the-dark funhouse there. The amusement park attracted several television shows, including the hit show The $6 Million Man, which came there to film an episode on December 8, 1976. When the figure was being moved in preparation to film a scene, its arm broke off, revealing human bone and tissue. The authorities were informed, and after an extensive investigation by the Los Angeles Coroner's Department, including the use of superimposing radiographs of the corpse's skull over known photographs of Elmer, it was confirmed it was the long-dead outlaw Elmer McCurdy. Among the clues that helped identify the body were a 1924 penny and ticket stubs to Louis Sonny's Museum of Crime lodged inside the throat of the corpse. Moreover, the copper bullet jacket lodged in him had not appeared on American ammunition until around 1905, and the arsenic with which he was embalmed had fallen out of use around 1920, narrowing the time of death to a window of 15 years. Elmer was buried on April 22, 1977, in the Boot Hill section of Summit View Cemetery in Guthrie, Oklahoma, 66 years after his death. He was laid to rest beneath several feet of concrete as the police wanted to deter anyone from digging him up. His funeral was attended by over 300 people.